Welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And right up front, if you're sitting there thinking, I watched that video the other day, the reason is because I'm recording one block header for all the Mailbag items I'm going to be filming this afternoon. I was filming outside in the workshop, but it's got too cold, so I've moved inside to the orange corner. So here we go. Now remember, Mailbag are questions, comments, and various other things that you guys leave on the channel or you email me directly that I think are worth airing. So before we get going, parish notices. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Tell your friends, tell the street, tell the world, get them to subscribe. I jest. But if you seriously haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff and musical equipment in general, then subscribe. If you want to be notified when those sort of videos hit the channel, you really need to press that bell icon as well. If you like the content of the video, give it a thumbs up. Down below, leave comments. I do read the comments, I respond to the comments, and sometimes I even make videos about the comments you guys leave, so they give me ideas about future content for the channel. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can support the channel and support the production of videos. The address of the TMTG community is down the bottom there, as are the Facebook and Instagram feeds, where all the channel notices during the week are posted. And obviously the release of videos is posted over there as well. But now, back to the next mailbag item. This one comes from Don Devore, and it's in response to I overlooked the SY77. There seems to be a number of comments about this particular mailbag item. And Don writes, very interesting to see the SY77. I used one in the 90s for all my MIDI lab projects in college, along with the Korg T1 and the Proteus module on Cakewalk 2. I was often baffled by the interface and the synth engine, but it sounded so good it was worth the effort to learn. Those keyboards hold a special place in my heart. So, hi Don. Yes, bottom line is the best of both worlds, I suppose, in terms of the T1 and the SY77. I've been on the lookout pretty much for a good SY77 or SY99. I'm still on the lookout for a 99, I think, ever since I acquired this sort of SY85 earlier in the year. And then a localist shop who knew I was looking for one took one in as part exchange for a shiny new keyboard and asked me if they wanted it for what they paid plus the price of a drink. Was the kind of the phrase that was used? Yes, if you give us the price of a drink, you can have it. They were honest that the disk drive didn't seem to be working, which is why I got it for such a good price. And unfortunately, I have the disk drive for it, but I haven't got around to fixing it yet because it's been too cold out here since I acquired the disk drive just before Christmas. So what I really need to do is I need to get it up on the bench, and I need to sort of fix it. I will do a battery change, I'll replace the disk drive, and then I can side by side it with the 85. As I think people really don't understand the differences between the 85 and the 77 and the 99. The 77 and the 99 was a natural progression, but the 85 was a different concept completely. You have this sort of concept of synths by manufacturers that have very similar, the SY range, the D range, the whatever it happens to be, and then actually when you go and look at this stuff, you realise that the lineage is not there. They share a name, but that's about it. The way the synthesis is constructed, the way the machine operates, the user interface, they're not common across the machines. SY85, SY77 are good examples of that. There was others. There's a 22. There's 33. All of these machines did not share lineage. They worked in completely different ways to the to each other. The D was exactly the same. The D20 and the D10 share lineage, as does the D110 and the D5 to some extent, but they share no lineage with the D50, and the D70 was a completely different beast as well. So, but you've got the D series synths. It's all to sort of, I suppose, it's the marketing to spark a response and make you get the checkbook out. But in reality, they're not the same. Manufacturers didn't really cotton on to the fact that you need machines that could read the files, so that every time you upgrade, it's not a case of having to completely recreate your sound library and your sound stack. You can just take what you've got and move it forward. But it took manufacturers a long time to cotton on to that. And if they had done, they probably would have released a lot more cash into some of these platforms much earlier. Anyway. Yeah, in terms of the interface back in the day, I used to use index cards. I don't know whether anybody still uses index cards. Do you still use index cards? Drop comments below. Because I used to, with all these things, you go through the manual, and the manuals are back in the 80s, definitely back in the early times. The manuals were about as intelligible as a bucket of mud. Really, most of them were written in Geek, for Geek, and all right, I've sort of got quite a technical background. I can follow my way through the manuals, but I still ended up with index cards. So I'd have an index card that says, create a new track, and it would give you the exact button pushes to create a new track. And that sounds daft, but if you're operating across a number of different synthesizers, kind of you need that. And I lost my index. I have no idea whatever happened to them. I don't know whether you remember it, whether you ever went to your parents' office, and on the desk in the office would be a little box about yay big with the index cards in it, and they would typically be their contacts, known as the Rolodex or whatever you want, and they would just thumb through there, in alphabetical order, and pull out a contact, and it will have the telephone number and some details written down, like they support Arsenal or something. But you don't really see them anymore, and I use them. I mean, I still use them, I have to be honest. I don't have that box of index cards. I do use them, I do buy them occasionally, especially when I'm doing presentations, like I've done any presentations for the last year. But when I would speak at conferences and do presentations to larger groups where you had to stand up in front of an audience, quite often I'd have index cards on the lectern next to me rather than a laptop. And the index cards would be my prompts. So anyway, but yeah, I suspect they're probably in the old house or disposed of by my ex. But hey ho. Anyway, great for your comment, Don.